corn. It's been an important crop in Kentucky for hundreds of years, but it has recently made significant contributions to our economy. In the last several years, the corn crop has been valued at $750 million or more per year. This strong economic engine drives 20,000 jobs and plows hundreds of millions of dollars back into Kentucky's treasuries. It also feeds a number of thriving industries important to the Commonwealth. The livestock industry is the most dependent on Kentucky corn. We're feeding 320 million chickens, 2 million beef cattle, 350,000 hogs, and 80,000 dairy cattle, among other livestock. About 70 million bushels, or half of the corn crop, is fed to Kentucky livestock. 37 million bushels alone are fed to Kentucky's growing poultry industry. Corn is an important feed ingredient in livestock diets due to its high starch and energy content. Corn is made up of 62% starch, 19% protein and fiber, 15% water, and 4% oil. These components make corn valuable to many other industries as well. About 30 million bushels of corn are used by Kentucky's food industry. A number of Kentucky businesses mill corn for snack foods, grits, and baking mixes.
Well, Weisenberger Mills has been here since 1865. I'm the 6th generation to work here. We buy corn from local farmers here in Kentucky and make that into cornmeal. We take that cornmeal and make cornbread mixes and self-rising cornmeal, spoon bread mixes, hush puppy mix, corn dog mix. Anything that uses cornmeal, we'll probably make it here. We use both white and yellow corn here, and we deal directly with the farmers that grow the corn, and we buy it right from them and grind it here.
Another significant portion of Kentucky's corn crop is distilled into bourbon and spirits. Bourbon is a unique 200-year-old corn market in Kentucky. Distillers utilize more than 15 million bushels of corn annually. Bourbon must be made with a minimum of 51% corn and aged in charred new oak barrels. Only Kentucky has the perfect natural mix of climate, conditions, and pure limestone water necessary for producing the world's best bourbon.
Buffalo Trace Distillery started distilling right after 1773. We created a settlement here known as the Leestown Settlement, and with that settlement came distillation. It started out as a small pot still type operation, mom and pop we call it. We were known at the time to be basically a grist mill where we would supply meal for the settlement. And as we grew, we basically expanded the distillery, and a guy named E.H. Taylor in 1857 basically put us on the map and expanded it and made it a modern distillery for back then. And we've basically been distilling and expanding ever since. We want the best corn there is on the market. And just like with any ingredients, we want that because we want to produce the best bourbon we can possibly make. So it's critically important that the raw ingredients are as high a quality as produced. We go through a lot of acres of corn, and I say 10,000 acres. It just depends on the yields and how things go. But we do feel like we are connected to these farmers that are supplying this corn, because we are producing something that's tasted 23 years later in some instances. So we bring corn in that's been grown, a lot of hard work, cultivated, harvested, and then we distill it and turn it into a product that we don't taste for 23 years.
In addition to distilling corn for beverage, corn is the primary ingredient for distilling ethanol for fuel. 12 million bushels of corn per year are converted to ethanol at Commonwealth Agri-Energy in Hopkinsville, Kentucky.
The ethanol plant has been a wonderful value to the economy of the local community. That's Hopkinsville, Christian County, and the region. We use 12 million bushels of locally grown corn. We provide ethanol right back into the region's fuel supply, distillers grain right back into the region's feed supply, and CO2 right back into the local carbonated beverages. But we really are an impact because of the commerce, the commercial impact, where $1 billion turns right here in Hopkinsville. Some people think that, you know, the corn is used in ethanol and that's all you get. But for every bushel of corn, you make 2.8 gallons of ethanol. But you also make 16 pounds of distillers grain. You make 16 pounds of CO2. We make distillers corn oil. So we make everything we can out of that bushel of corn, and without the co-products, we couldn't survive in our market. The distillers grain, it sells to dairy, beef, swine, and poultry. And those are all local markets.
Any corn that's not used within the state will most likely be exported to the Southeast or perhaps across the world. Kentucky has an extensive water, rail, and truck transportation system to move grain out of the Commonwealth. And it all starts here. Kentucky farmers plant more than 1 million acres of corn each spring. Corn is big business. They need equipment, seed, fertilizer, and crop protection products. Many buy crop insurance, and they all pray for good weather.
A year like this reminds us that we are dependent upon the weather for good crops, that we have to have rain and temperatures in the right time frame that make a good crop. We also are very aware that risk management of some sort is important so that we can survive the little things that come our way in bad years so that we'll be able to grow crops again next year. In today's markets, even though they are strong and demand is very good, we still have to watch our inputs. We have to be very diligent about managing the cost of our inputs so that we try to remain profitable. If we're not profitable, we won't be in business for the next generation, and that's our goal, to grow our business in order that our sons and daughters that come after us have the chance to grow food for America just like we've been doing. In recent times, we've been able to use technology to grow more with less, use less fertilizers, try to grow a crop as efficiently as we can. We're already using grid sampling to determine what fertilizer is needed where so that we don't overuse fertilizers, so that we feed the crop as it's needed. We're also using new varieties that are resistant to weeds, insects that keep the crop from being all that it can be, but with these new genetics, research is coming down the way that will improve those plant varieties for us to use in the future. I think it's important to remember that most of the corn in Kentucky is still grown on family farms. Those operations that have been preserved through the ages and quite possibly increased over time to make a place for young people to come back to the farm. Agriculture is new with every season. The adventure never goes away. The ability to grow things in nature is a challenge that most people don't ever get the chance to enjoy.
Kentucky's corn farmers are feeding our industries and our economy. From livestock to bourbon, food to fuel, corn is bringing Kentucky prosperity by the bushel.